at the time in the 80s when there was a kind of movement of low budget, there was a festival in Hamburg called the Low Budget Film Forum, run by Dieter Kostlik, who now runs the Berlinale. We started to think in the British Film Institute in the old days about what low budget meant. And of course, it's not fashionable anymore to talk about culture by using terms in economics. Nowadays, we try and get everything we can, and we do our best to make things as big as we can. And so you have to cast your mind back into a moment where we were very proud of our poverty, because it was something that distinguished us from the rest of the world. And even before there was any dogma, and dogma has some very interesting lessons for us, because it's not just about promoting films with an interesting line, it's also about making really big decisions and then sticking to them in a way which is very illuminating creatively. Even before that, there was a moment where people were trying to think about what might be the difference between a low-budget film and a high-budget film. The budget is the aesthetic. Okay? So it means anytime you say, I want to tell this story, but I don't have much money, so we'll have to sort of compromise in this way, you're not doing that. Okay? And what you're doing is making a cheap film. Now, a cheap film is a film which is visible to the audience. It's a late-night television in which you drive very fast, but in a not very good car. Okay? So that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is the budget is the aesthetic. Because if you don't have money, you need innovation. In other words, remember the truth of the fact that if you had enough money, you could get an audience to go and see a film, even if you're a pretty bad writer and a pretty awful director. You've all been to the big theatres. You know what's going on in Leicester Square. You know what's going on in Les Halles. You know what those movies are. You can't work out why those people ever got a job. But the main thing is their lives are being saved by money. And unfortunately, the other side of that story is if you're going to make low-budget films, you've got to be good. So you have to get to the point where director and producer find ways of developing by reducing. So look at it like sculpture. Okay? You're not doing a historical painting by David. What you're doing is trying to do one figure by Rodin. Okay.
In 1959, there was this middle-aged British director, fresh out of a huge worldwide box office hit, who said to his producer, the studio was Paramount, I want to do a low-budget film in black and white, with no stars, and it's going to be a bloodshed. There'll be murders, blood. Will you go for that? And the studio said, regardless of your previous successes, we're not going to do this. You know, we can't do a film like that. So the director, who had also a television crew because he was making television episodes, said, okay, you know what, give me just an amount of money, enough for me to make the film with my television crew. So they said, you want to use your television crew? Yes, yes, we'll do it in 4 weeks with my television crew. And we'll see what happens. The director was Alfred Hitchcock, and the film was Psycho. And you have to realize that Psycho was shot with Hitchcock's television crew because the studio, Paramount, didn't want Hitchcock to use the lavish kind of moyen he used to have to do this film. They said to him, it's your petite expérience, it's your pet project, it's your caprice, your vanity thing. We'll release it because we're Paramount, we have a deal with you, but you have to do it in your own special way. So Hitchcock said, I'm going to pick my television crew. The DP was called John Russell. It's his only film in the cinema as a DP. When you see his filmography, it's like television, 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 Psycho, television, television, television. So it's very interesting to think that one of the landmarks in the history of low-budget film is a film like Psycho. Because Hitchcock knew that he had one thing on his side when he was doing Psycho. It was him, as a director. His style, his experience, and his ability to create emotion and suspense with his own talent, nothing else.
The story, concentrates in the efforts of this priest to try to put together a very peculiar group of people in order to go through with their dream that becomes gradually their dream to build an ark and set off in a journey in the sea.
The film is about a dying priest that organizes a group of homeless people with the excuse or maybe the activity to build an ark, and through that we get to recognize all the different identities within that community, which is the priest, which is an ideal homeless vagabond who is a bit more crazy and is obsessed with storytelling, and it's also the priest's brother who is unemployed. He's closer to the situation of the everyday Greeks now, and through the journeys of them all and their in-between relationships, we'll try to make a film about dreams and the importance of them, but also how you construct them.
What is suggested for me by this synopsis is continuous dissolving between a reality story and a fairy tale or a Greek drama or whatever, a legend or anything. So this is very exciting and very difficult. The basic question is always for a low-budget film is that in spite of reducing your film to the budget, you try to enrich the world of your film for the given local possibilities. Now, I wonder how much it's going to be an imagined and created script, and how much you want to fill it up with the local stories of the people, with the local. I don't mean documentarism. I don't mean any sociological reality. I mean this full of fairy tale elements world. How much you can involve into the story, because if there is a community in a village, then I would really wonder what's happening with the people. What is each character with the different mind, very minimal little stories with the fun of it all.
This is not a film, you know, there's an impossible core, a possible thing to do, and then there are 6 guys who are really nuts and homeless, and then they do it. But that's exactly not what you're going to do in this film. So I think that's not really the notion. That's the American feel-good movie. At the end, they sail away and whatever, win the championship. I don't know. And it's always a lie in a way. And but this is like a David story, you know, where David tries to fight Goliath, but even Goliath is not really visible. And
because it could be also a story that goes against what it wants to go to.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that it's impossible, something is impossible, and that hope, that idea of hope, is ruined by the stories that it becomes impossible to be. It goes against the idea of the film, so it could be a problem also.
Look at him. Wild Bill. He's a top-class nut job.
What are you going to be doing now you're out?
No associating with known criminals.
Bill, you're officially back, eh?
No excessive drinking.
Come on then. Get it down, yeah?
What is this? Who's that?
That is your old man.
He stinks.
So I was a working actor and had lots of experience on films over the last 40 years, and then decided in a period when I wasn't doing any acting work that I wanted to work on a film. And so I had the idea about a man who was a boy and a boy who was a man, and that was directly related to my own experience as a child actor, that as a child actor, you have a lot of adult responsibility, and you're kind of embroiled in an adult world, even though you're still a child. Your responsibilities are the same as an adult on a film set. And then when you subsequently get older and grow up, that's a period in your life, you find, or I found, that I hadn't really grown up. I was still sort of functioning as a child, although a very precocious one, still functioning as a child. So then I kind of had this experience. Okay, so I was a man who was still a boy, and a boy. So that was the kind of heart of the story. It was then about finding an environment where that could play out. And so that's where the idea of someone who's been in prison came from. That was that main character's man got frozen in time, and then the boy looking after his little brother. That kind of made him grown up.
There's wonderful camera work in the film, but it was only the second movie that he'd lit. But he was he's one of the world's greatest camera operators.
He'd been making Warhawks. He'd been operating on Warhawks before he made Wild Bill. So I mean, he was that quality of, operator.
Yeah.
But because we gave him the opportunity to light, he was like, okay, then I'll come and I'll bring all my toys. And he came with his Steadicam and track and all the stuff that he'd accumulated over the years and shot it like a Spielberg film.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so it's just making sure that you're adding value in every single department by giving people something additional to the pay that you can give them.
One of the great, wonderful things that is the real strength of our industry can be creatively is that very few people are in it just for the job, if you know what I mean, or just for what work will I do? Oh, I'll go and make films. People if they're in this industry, it's generally because they love it and they have a passion about film and filmmaking and whatever element or part of it that they do. And I think that's really what Tim's talking about. It's about allowing people to remember that and giving that time, that space allowed us on this particular project to let people remember that and that be part of that whole process, because it can become arduous, it's difficult. But I think if you can maintain that hey, we love making films, remember, if that atmosphere is in there, then it's conducive for a good product.
What I'd like the directors to do, to sketch a key image, key frame from a key sequence in the beginning, the middle, and end of your film. It doesn't have to be the very beginning or the very end. And the three images should in some way chart a progression. Or the other way to think about it is, because when we come out of a film, we very often, certain key images or moments have imprinted themselves on the mind's eye. So think about it that way. What images do you want to stick with, in the audience memory? So that's the job of the writer-director, to do that sequencing, and the job of the producer is to draw a poster for the film.
The first one is still abstract, but it's Thomas, main character, training in the streets, running at night when everybody's sleeping. He just goes on training for lose weight. He seems very little at the beginning. So first. The second one, it's Thomas with his girlfriend Salma, with a model, and he tells her the story of his body because of the box. He just have the nose broken and pancake nose, and his body is become different with the time, and he talks to him with his body, with the story of his body. And the third one, it's Thomas and Ellis, character with disconnected, and it's a woman who is working in a big enterprise, and he meets her in a park, and she's like a mirror of himself.
It's something that we've been talking about the last couple of days, but it's really interesting to me that even the relationship between kind of the boyfriend and girlfriend, it's quite cold. Like he's showing him his body through a mirror, and not even by touch or anything. So it's a really big distance between the two characters.
Yes.
When we write, it's easier to fool ourselves, and it's easier to go down, blind alleys and dead ends. But when you are telling a story to somebody else, when a director is telling or a writer is telling a story to a producer, the writer-director is able to gauge the response, and is this working or is this not working, by what's happening.
Yeah, when we decided about this story and working together, it came up that it's gonna be too long, because 50 minutes, I never wanted to produce any film for 50 minutes long, because there is no market for this kind of films. Then we started thinking about, okay, how we can solve this problem, because
Of the budget?
yes, of the budget and of the creative problem. And Shara started to rewrite the script and started working on the script with the
dialogue
writer
and with the script doctor.
And finally, we found a way how we can have a. We believed at the time it's gonna be just a 75 minutes or 80 minutes long something. And we decided, okay, let's do it and start shooting.
And where did you get the money for it?
This film was made only from private equities and in-kind support.
And what was the budget?
At the beginning, the budget was just less than 100,000 euros, but finally it's more than 220.
With the post-production?
With the post-production and with everything, yeah.
And has it been released? Is it?
Not yet. We're gonna be released in October.
In Hungary?
In Hungary, and the world premiere is supposed to be in Karlovy in
next
2 weeks or 3 weeks, okay, in the East of the West competition.
I'm not the kind of director who is pushing something onto the actors. So I just, and especially at this film when it was really, we have to do everything very quickly. So I didn't have much time to build up a character with the actor. So I just I knew that his feelings about the subject and about the character is right after the discussions. And when we were shooting, I didn't push him anything which is not him. So I just wanted him to live as this character, but especially him. So I just wanted to see how he deals with that problems and how he deals with this life, what the character has. And yeah, so I didn't force something which is not him. And so I always use actors because of what they are.
What this class is about trying to find kind of practical tools and kind of look at creative writing. And one of the things I think is very important about low-budget filmmaking is that you have got to be really creative, basically. This is kind of the key thing that's coming across. In fact, you probably have to be more creative than you would be of a high-budget film, because you have to be constantly adapting. Well, I've been teaching these writers' gyms for a little while, and kind of developing like different muscles or skills that you could be using in your work. One of them is flexibility, like to kind of go, okay, I can bend with things. One of them is like resilience, like how can I be strong in the face of all these things that people are saying around me? What are my tools for that? Another one is to be inventive. So what I've been trying to do is to build up exercises that can kind of help you with that. One of the things also that I've been noticing is that when you sit in the seminars and go through all these kind of pitching things, that you become a person who's thinking in a critical way, like thinking about thinking with your analytical brain. You're kind of like, oh, is it right? Is it good? Should it be like this? Should it be like that? You start to get a little bit anxious about your project. So like, oh no, I don't know this, I don't know that, sort of thing. And what I believe is that you have two sides of your brain functioning. You have your like left side of your brain functioning and your right side. I'm using the wrong hands for it for some reason. But the left side of your brain is it's the right. I don't want to confuse myself. I am now. But this idea to go that the left side of your brain is this kind of critical, analytical, logical, sequential. It's about order. It's also the piece of your brain that in animals looks for predators. Who's going to eat me? And when I'm writing, I do have these thoughts like, oh my God, who's going to eat me? Is this a cliche? Am I being boring? Am I being crazy? Will they think I'm a pervert? All these kinds of thoughts and worries that I can have while I'm working. And what the writer's gym is in a way about is to try and stop that thinking and turn over to the other side, which is about emotion, it's about intuition, it's not sequential, it's kind of something that's irrational in a way. It's more childish and it's more crazy in a way, more from where dreams come from. And I think that a good creator will use both sides, but that teaching does very bad to stimulate this right side of the brain. And so I think that's been kind of one of my missions. So I kind of started to investigate this creativity notion. So that what we will do is do a few little exercises to do with creativity, and then I will kind of like talk my way through some tools. What I want you to do is we're going to do this all at the same time, so things are going to go quite crazy. One of you, I want you to walk around the room and point at things and ask, what is that? And what is that? What is that? What is that? And the other person, I just want you to say things that it isn't. Okay, so that could be a monkey, this could be a banana. I'm now staying in the jungle, so I need to go out of it. This is a castle, this is a spaceship, this is a virus, things like that, just to try and let your mind go. I want to put your mind under stress. This is like to turn off the left side of your brain.
The roof of a car.
What's that?
That's a wheel. He's a leaf. These are trees.
Okay, I'm going to stop you. We're warm. Okay. Let's get on. I think it is quite good to do something like this, or some kind of little warm-up exercise that says, I am walking into the threshold of being creative. I think that if you do these things regularly, it doesn't matter, you can kind of call on it whenever you need to. What creativity is about often is about playing, in a way, as a child would do, playing games. So this is a little game which is about drawing, but with two hands, okay? And it's a very, very simple thing that I want you to do, which is to take your two crayons, and I want you to draw, make sure that you've got two that can kind of will show, so if there's very light ones. What I want you to do is to not think, oh, I'm going to draw this straight away. You don't have to decide what you're going to draw. I want you to decide as you put your crayons on the paper, and then start, but draw things. Don't just draw abstract, because anyone can do abstract with this way. What were you drawing?
It's a space war.
Yeah, more conflicts.
This is a satellite. This was the basic stuff, and this is a planet, maybe the Earth. Here is a guy, and here is a big spaceship, and it is a war between the robots. So it's a robot. It's the main evil, and it's a robot against the humanity, or this human person. He has a space dog. I call it space dog. When he barks, he throws out rockets to the big ship.
I started drawing out a car in the road, but it became into a family scene sitting down at a dinner table, and then the kids are kind of like in the living room playing with some toys in front of the TV, but they don't have anything to eat because the fridge is broken. So they're going to be waiting there for quite a long time.
Yeah, I mean, even this thing where, okay, if you imagine that the fridge is broken, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of like a weird thing that you kind of automatically think, I need to put in something that's going to create a sort of need or a difficulty for these people. That difficulty or conflict are things that we're automatically putting into stories. It's not necessarily a matter of theory, it's just a matter of what we try to do impulsively.
basically what you need for a first feature film is a success. And the success, it's very, you have many different kind of successes, and you have to know rather from the beginning what kind of success you're looking for. If you want your money back, or if you just want to have the opportunity to make another film, and maybe this one is just, I don't know, it's for your book, you know. But it's a possibility, and then so you have to be sure that festivals, the press, and every single people in the movie industry will see your film and hear about it. How many films were in Cannes this year? Do you know that? I think it's like...
You mean all the sections?
Yes, all sections. Yeah. 17 or comme ça?
Well, I would have said 100.
I think in Berlin it's almost the same, maybe even more. I think in Berlin it's huge, and Venice is a little less, I would say.
Yeah, because they don't have a market yet, but this year.
So you have something like 200 films shown in the 3 biggest festivals in the world.
But there is also Locarno, and there is also Toronto, which is very important to launch a film.
And the choice of the festival is really important because it depends on the nature of the film. Some films will be better screened in the director's fortnight in Cannes, but some are too fragile to be in Cannes and maybe will be better for the premiere at Locarno or Berlin, or, you know, other festivals, or Venice. And San Sebastian. And there are also consequences for the distribution that even if you find a distributor, a national distributor, ready to release your film, if he can't count on a major festival that implies a lot of press and a lot of communication about your film, his job is made really more difficult because when he tries to propose the film to exhibitors, if the film, if there is no festival, and how do you sell it, right? How do you introduce it to the journalist that if it's a first feature film, your name is unknown, and so festival is really, and so international sales are really the first step for the career of a film.
Should we pitch it and be a bit quicker?
Yeah.
So
are you pitching it?
You can pitch it.
No, you pitch it.
Yeah. So simply, it's set in the UK. We're London-based. We made a short film around the same thing. It's about football, but it's rather than the kind of rags to riches stories that you always see represented in sports. It's the other riches to rags story, which is more common. People that make it but don't quite make it, and then fall into the black hole. That's what they call it in football.
Is it a true story based? It's based around a lot of true stories. The short film that we made, which was my graduation film, is set in the world of non-league football, and it kind of involves a lot of real coaches and real players.
Whoa! To both of us! Come on, boys! Win away! Oh! Give me a chance! What's that next one? You've got he went like that.
Listen, well done tonight, boys. Different class. Another great session by Joey. Great result last week. 5-1 at Horsham. Let's make sure we continue it this Saturday. Big game. So let's make sure we get it in there, okay? So it's 1:30 meet down at Bromley. Just go out and play, boys, like we normally do. Good luck, Joe.
In the end, what is the mood you want put the audience in. We want everyone to be in a good place by the end of the film.
Yeah. The guy is saved in the end.
Yeah, he's saved. Yeah, he's saved by this kind of community, this collective bond.
Faudrait que tu me donnes des cours d'hébreu.
Alors c'est vrai ce qu'on dit, tu vas en Israël?
Ouais.
Toi tu vas en Israël?
Avec Nathan.
Mais tu sais qu'en Israël il n'y a que des juifs.
Ah bon?
T'as beaucoup de copains juifs?
Non, pas trop.
Pas trop, hein. Non, parce que les juifs, quand ils sont nombreux, ils peuvent être très très chiants. Regarde nos familles, enfin surtout la tienne.
Bon, ça va, qu'est-ce que t'as? Arrête d'être comme ça. T'es allé au moins 15 fois en Israël, tu vas pas me faire la morale, quoi.
Ouais, mais moi j'ai jamais pensé m'y installer.
Bah, moi, ouais.
I wrote the first draft in La Fémis during an exercise. Then at the end of this exercise, we met a producer as a technician. He read the script and said good, and Lola she liked the film. Then we spoke about the film, and on a compris qu'on s'entendait bien. Enfin, je crois que Lola a compris que j'étais décidé à réécrire parce qu'elle voyait déjà qu'il y avait quand même du travail.
So they met and then they realized that they got on very well and that also Ellie would actually respond to the notes that Lola would give him, that he's able to rewrite. So that's.
Et en même temps, elle a vu aussi qu'il y avait quelque chose qui lui plaisait très fort. Enfin, c'est elle qui va le dire, hein, mais à tel point qu'elle était prête à signer alors que j'étais encore étudiant à la Fémis.
En 2008.
En 2007 ou 7.
So she liked it so much that she wanted to sign the film in 2007. So she's very, very keen on the film, on the script.
He was a writer, and I saw that I saw a director. The whole thing.
Basically, all the interior shots are shot outside Paris.
In Lyon. In Lyon.
In
Lyon. So they're shot in Lyon.
So,
okay.
Mais ça suppose vraiment que la mise en scène, effectivement, joue le jeu, enfin, trouve des solutions, quoi.
And so that, you have to have a director that's happy to do that, to kind of mix locations.
I knew at this time, I knew that Main Street of Scorsese is shooting in Los Angeles. And it's a big film about Little Italy. There is just one shot in New York, so it's okay.
Taste of a cherry chopstick. I kissed a girl just to try it. I hope my boyfriend don't mind that. It felt so wrong, it felt so right. Don't mean I'm in love with you tonight. I kissed a girl and I liked it. I liked it. Dance girls, they are so magical. Soft skin, red lips, so kissable. Hard to resist, so touchable. Too good to deny it. Ain't no big deal, it's innocent.
I think for me it's when I decide to produce with somebody after to have lunch, dinner, relationship, after talk with somebody, the first thing is to talk about how much money we can have, and after we decide which type of film we can do. It's not to have a script and to say that I go to see a line producer to decide it will be 10 million euro or no 11 or no. The question is what is possible with which type of for one director. What is possible to have Arte, to have Avance sur Recette, to have I don't know, a co-production with Belgium, to co-production with another country. And that is the more important question. So the budget is coming after the possibility, and also the script is coming after that. The transformation of the script, it's coming after that. If you're making a movie of 20 million euro, you are absolutely no free. You have a lot of money, but you are not free. You as producer is not interesting. You are all the time employee salary of people. They are insulting you. No, it's crazy. So it's not interesting for me, but it's interesting for some people. They like that because at the end they are insulted, but at the end they have a lot of money for them. They can go to buy a very big apartment or villa on the Côte d'Azur.
But there are also some movies that you really love, but you wouldn't be able to produce it, I think. No? I mean, it has to also, I think, when you're independent producing, I think it also has to speak to something of you. I don't know, maybe I'm too personal, but I think when you produce, it's much more than just also love the script, love the director and all that. It's also something that you're linked to, I think, or you see some link with your life, for me.
You never know. I think each buyers or distributor try to find a cheap film, which is a low budget film to buy, and to expect that it will do big in terms of box office receipts and so on. So it's a reason why even if a big company can acquire a big film, but there are always, such as even the American, I mean Weinstein and so on, there are always people scouting, going to at the film market in Cannes, in very dull screening rooms. You have always people from Weinstein or all the big companies having young people trying to screen everything to see if there is a small film they could buy for almost nothing, such as, say, 18,000 euros, the film Alia this morning. It's even very good price already for an American distributor, and expect he will do something big out of it.
Low budget is to be independent. It's not a question of budget, because you can be independent and to have more money than that. I say no. The question is really the independence, and not. It's not a word. It's because there is a lot of distributor or producer. They are saying they are independent distributor or producer. So no, it's a way to consider. For me, it's a way to. But maybe they're not okay, to consider that the artistic point of view is more important than the commercial value.
We came with a second draft here. It was huge, a lot of stories in there, and a bit of messy. And it was just dismantled during the first 2 days. And we've been at very low point. And then we got a very nice lesson to homework to do from Margaret. And then progressively we just got ideas, a lot of ideas, a lot of projects, a lot of movies. Every day when we went home to the hotel, we had another movie. We just told to each other different movies based on the script or based on the ideas.
It's been very nice for me, who's been in business for a while, to hear the enthusiasm and energy and the kind of the love of cinema that initially made me join the business, and to hear it from you younger guys.
It was very interesting that the trainers were speaking from very different positions, as a director and a producer and a writer, and they all focused on the same problem. So now our script is, the problems with our script are clearer than ever, so thank you.
I've had some great talks with the other students about thinking low budget. What does that mean? What stories can exist with limited funds, and what characters can move in these worlds, and how can you push an audience with nothing?
It was better than I expected.